They sell you a dream, don't they? That the crown is the final chapter of a fairy tale, a sparkling ticket straight to a life of pure bliss. But for a chosen few, that shimmering crown was nothing but the cover charge for a nightmare wrapped in gold leaf. We're breaking down the 10 richest and most talked about Miss Universe winners the world has ever seen. And our number one is the most heartbreaking story of them all, the queen who was swallowed whole by the brutal machinery of a dictatorship. Let's step into the shadows of the beauty world. Number 10. Catriona Gray, the one-woman media empire. Our journey into the dark crossroads of power and beauty begins with the woman who tore up the old playbook on how to cash in on the crown. Miss Universe 2000 Upcom 2018, Catriona Gray. She may not have married into a tyrant's family or been born into a dynasty built on bloodshed, but she personifies the chilling effectiveness of the new age of making money, where your clout is the cash and the algorithm is the new dictator. The way Catriona built her fortune is a masterclass in handling modern intellectual property. In a world where most queens just sign their lives away to pageant groups, Catriona kept a death grip on her own rights. She didn't just compete, she created a brand. By cleverly securing the copyright to the lava walk, her famous slow-motion glide, and working on the design of her legendary 3 stars and the sun ear cuffs, she converted viral sensations into real, sellable assets. Calling her a model is an understatement. She is a full-blown, high-output media machine. Her list of endorsements doesn't look like a beauty queen's CV. It reads like a who's who of the Philippine economy. The biggest banks, massive telecommunications companies, fast food giants like Jollibee, and even high-end car brands. Experts in the industry figure her yearly income potential is in the multi-millions, all fueled by an economy where her follower engagement numbers demand top-tier payments. Look at the queens from the 70s and 80s. They often had to find a rich husband to keep up their lifestyle long after the crown's sparkle was gone. Catriona, on the other hand, constructed an empire that supports itself. You can see this financial freedom in the things she owns. She bought a prime property in a very exclusive neighborhood in Metro Manila, a house she named Casa Gray. But this place isn't just a house. It's a factory for creating content. It was designed from the ground up with studio-quality lighting and soundproofing, making sure she can go live to her 13 million followers with professional broadcast quality without even stepping outside her own living room. She is the epitome of the new, in-control phase in the evolution of a beauty queen. She has skillfully sidestepped the tragic fates of those who came before her by keeping absolute control over her public image, her business ventures, and her private life. She acts as an ambassador for the arts, and even has a role with the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, expertly mixing her celebrity status with a bit of government influence. Catriona sets the new standard for success: wealthy, independent, and, most importantly, secure. But as we climb higher on this list, that security starts to crumble, replaced by much darker and more menacing kinds of power. Number 9. Dayanara Torres, the dynasty built on a divorce payout. For our 9th spot, we delve into the story of the Puerto Rican queen who captured the hearts of the Philippines before diving into the turbulent, high-stakes universe of Latin American superstardom. Dayanara Torres, Miss Universe 1993. Her life shows us the kind of money that can be made from marrying into power and the incredibly profitable chaos that follows when those marriages fall apart. Dayanara was the dancing queen who won over an entire country, becoming a true movie star in the Philippines, something very few foreigners managed to do before she relocated to the United States. But the scale of her wealth exploded when she married Mark Anthony, the undisputed king of salsa, in a grand wedding in Puerto Rico. That marriage catapulted her into the highest circles of the international music scene. We're talking about a lifestyle of sprawling mansions in New York and Miami. Ang buhay niya ay puro private jet at pag-iwas sa mga paparazzi sa magulong mundo ng mga sikat sa Hollywood. Pero nang bumagsak ang kanilang pagsasama, hindi lang yun basta hiwalayan. Isa iyong malaking eskandalo ng pera na umabot pa sa korte. Sa gitna ng mga paglilitis sa diborsyo, doon nabunyag kung gaano kagrabe ang karangyang kinasanayan niya. At kahit malaki na ang paunang areglo, ang tunay na giyera ay para pala sa sustento ng mga bata. Sa isang napakaingay na laban sa korte noong 2014, inutusan ng isang hukom si Mark Anthony na magbayad ng halos $113,000 bawat buwan para sa child support. Ang nakakalulang halagang ito ay sinabing kailangan daw para mapanatili ang marangyang buhay kung saan ipinanganak ang mga anak nila. Isang buhay na may mga private resort, sariling security, at sukdulang luho. Pero ginamit ni Dayanara ang magulong panahong ito hindi para magmukmok, kundi para muling buuin ang kanyang sarili. Hindi siya nagpakalunod sa papel ng isang sawi at itinakwil na asawa. Nagsulat siya ng mga libro, bumalik sa telebisyon, at nagkampiyon pa sa Mira Quien Baila o Look Who's Dancing na tuluyang nagpatunay ng kanyang sariling galing, hiwalay sa anino ng kanyang sikat na dating asawa. Ngayon, ang kanyang yaman ay tinatayang nasa multimilyon na sinigurado ng kanyang matalinong pamumuhunan sa real estate at tuloy-tuloy na mga kontrata sa TV. Nabubuhay siya bilang isang nagtagumpay na survivor, isang patunay na sa mundong walang awa ng mga beauty queen. Ang isang magaling na abogado ay kasing halaga ng isang magaling na stylist. Number 8, si Sushmita Sen, ang independiyenteng reyna ng sarili niyang imperyo. Kung lilipat naman tayo sa India, makikita natin ang isang babaeng tuluyang tumanggi sa ideya ng isang gintong hawla at sa halip ay nagtayo ng sarili niyang kuta, si Sushmita, Miss Universe 1994, ang eksaktong kabaligtaran ng isang kaawa-awang beauty queen. Isa siyang higante sa industriya na, kung maaalala ninyo, ay tinalo pa si Aishwarya Rai para sa corona, isang patunay ng kanyang pangingibabaw mula pa sa simula. Ang yaman ni Sushmita ay malawak at galing sa iba't ibang larangan. Matapos niyang iuwi ang unang corona ng Miss Universe sa India, ginamit niya ang kasikatan para sa isang karera sa Bollywood na tumagal ng maraming dekada. Pero ang pag-arte ay panimulang puhunan lang pala. Sumabak si Sushmita sa pagnenegosyo na may tapang na bihirang-bihirang makita sa mundo ng mga pageant. Naglunsad siya ng sariling linya ng alahas at nagtayo ng sariling production company at sa loob ng mahabang panahon, siya ang nagmay-ari at namahala sa IMC franchise kung saan siya lang ang may karapatang magpadala ng kinatawan ng India sa Miss Universe. Sa madaling salita, pag-aari niya ang mismong daan patungo sa corona na minsan niyang isinuot. Pero ang pinakakahanga-hanga sa lahat ay ang kanyang kalayaan. Naging single mother siya sa pamamagitan ng pag-aampon sa edad na 24 at nilabanan pa ang konserbatibong batas ng India para lang maampon ang kanyang anak na si Rene noong 2000. Ang hakbang na ito ay isang malinaw na mensahe sa mundo na hindi niya kailangan ng lalaki para bumuo ng pamilya o magpayaman. Nagmamaneho siya ng koleksyon ng mga mamahaling sasakyan, kabilang ang mga BMW at Audi, at nakatira sa isang marangyang apartment sa Mumbai kung saan tanaw ang buong Arabian Sea, isang tahanan na puno ng sining at mga bagay na nakolekta niya mula sa kanyang mga paglalakbay sa buong mundo. Ang kanyang pagbabalik sa International Emmy-nominated na seryeng Arya ay lalo pang nagpasabog sa kanyang yaman. Hawak niya ang ilan sa pinakamalalaking bayad sa Indian online entertainment, isang patunay na ang kanyang kasikatan ay hindi kayang burahin ng panahon. Nakipaglaban siya sa Addison's disease at bumalik na mas malakas pa, na parang isang tunay na emperatris. Isang babaeng naghahari sa sarili niyang kaharian, na walang utang na loob kaninuman hindi sa mga diktador, hari o mga dating asawa. Siya ang katahimikan bago pa man dumating ang tunay na bagyo sa listahang ito. Number 7, si Gloria Diaz, ang matriarkang angkan. We journey back to the Philippines for number 7, to focus on a woman whose fortune is deeply embedded in the very DNA of Manila's elite circles. Gloria Diaz, crowned Miss Universe 1969, she is far more than a mere celebrity. She is a pillar of society. Gloria's wealth is a masterful combination of decades-long showbiz relevance and the shrewd management of old family money. Even after 50 years in the industry, she remains one of the highest-paid actresses, a constant, commanding presence in top-tier dramas and acclaimed cinema, like the iconic Ang Pinakamagandang Hayop sa Balat ng Lupa. But her real influence comes from who she knows and the land she owns. She is a member of the Diaz clan, a family name that has carried immense weight in business and society for generations. She has perfected the very essence of understated power. You will never catch her flaunting brand names or making tasteless displays of how rich she is. What you will see is her channeling her wealth into legacy. She possesses sprawling properties, among them a legendary vacation estate in Batangas and her primary residence in Makati, a home filled with priceless antiques that only increase in value as the years pass. Her entire philosophy on money is built for the long game, for the generations that will follow her. She has groomed her children, including Isabel Daza, to become influential forces in their own fields, effectively building a dynasty where the Diaz brand itself is a revenue-generating machine across numerous platforms, spanning everything from digital ventures to the hospitality industry. Gloria's life represents the ultimate triumph for a beauty queen. She expertly navigated the treacherous political minefield of the Marcos dictatorship and emerged completely unscathed, preserving her high standing through every single shift in political power the Philippines has ever seen. She gets invited to state dinners. She is on a first-name basis with the powerful, and she possesses the kind of wealth that allows her to simply walk away from any deal she doesn't approve of. She is the reigning matriarch of the Philippines, utterly secure on her throne, watching the decades unfold from the comfort of established, unshakable power. Number 6. Cecilia Boloco, the bride of the strongman. And here, the story takes a dark turn. We are now entering the vicious arena of power politics. Our number 6 is Cecilia Boloco, Chile's Miss Universe from 1987. She is the textbook example of what happens when a beauty queen gets too close to the sun of absolute political power and the chaos that follows. In Latin America, Cecilia was already a megastar, a journalist, a television host, and an Emmy Award winner. By all accounts, she was already Chilean royalty on her own merits. But in 2001, she ignited a global firestorm by marrying Carlos Menem, the deeply controversial former president of Argentina. Menem was no ordinary politician. He was a Peronist icon, a man who had led Argentina with a flashy and polarizing style, a rule so marked by corruption and the concentration of power that it was often likened to a dictatorship. At the very time of their wedding, Menem was under house arrest, facing serious charges for his role in an illegal arms trafficking scheme. The marriage was a grotesque circus of wealth and political maneuvering. Menem was decades older, and their union was widely perceived as a strategic play to fuel his comeback bid for the presidency. Cecilia was thrown into a dizzying world of private jets, political rallies, and the suffocating glare of public scrutiny. She was no longer just a media personality. She was now on the path to becoming the First Lady of Argentina. However, her gilded prison swiftly became a glass house for the world to stare into. The marriage was torn apart by relentless scandals, the most infamous being the Bolocazo, where paparazzi photos were leaked, showing Cecilia topless with an Italian businessman in Miami. The scandal forced a mortifying public apology and their eventual divorce. But when the dust settled, she had managed to land on her feet financially. Today, Cecilia continues to be one of the wealthiest and most influential figures in Chilean media. She runs her own successful fashion labels, she hosts the most prestigious shows like La Noche de Cecilia, and her home is a breathtaking, ultra-modern mansion in Santiago. She played with the fire of absolute political power and got burned. But she also walked away with a story and a fortune that very few could ever hope to possess. Number 5. Margie Moran, the Empress of the Banana Empire. If Cecilia Boloco's marriage was to a politician, Margie Moran's was to the entire Philippine economy. In our 5th spot is the Miss Universe from 1973, a woman who married into a family that is arguably one of the most controversial and powerful in the nation's history. Margie Moran became the wife of Tony Boy Florendo, the heir to the massive Florendo dynasty. Here in the Philippines, everyone knows this clan as the Banana Kings. They are the owners of Tadico, the Tagum Agricultural Development Company, a sprawling agricultural giant that ships out billions of pesos in Cavendish bananas every single year. But this incredible wealth casts a very long, dark shadow. The Florendos were staunch cronies of Ferdinand Marcos. The vast lands they controlled and the business monopolies they held were all cemented during the martial law years, a period defined by brutal suppression and dictatorship. The controversy that swirls around their fortune is simply immense. Tadco had a joint venture agreement with the Bureau of Corrections, which meant they used thousands of hectares of land from a penal colony, and even its prisoners, to work their plantations. This whole setup allowed the family to build a staggering fortune on the back of government assets. Margie was right in the middle of all this power. She didn't just spend the money. She curated its public face. She took the role of president for the Pearl Farm Beach Resort, a world-renowned luxury getaway on Samal Island, which stands as the crown jewel of their family's ventures into hospitality. Her daily life was a world of private jets, sprawling haciendas, and a direct line to Malacañang Palace. But here's the twist. Margie cleverly converted this crony capital into cultural capital. She transformed herself into a powerful patroness of the arts, taking the helm of the Cultural Center of the Philippines, or CCP, and dedicating herself to ballet and peace initiatives in Mindanao. Her fortune is deeply rooted in the land, thousands and thousands of hectares of it. The kind of protection her life has is something rare, even among billionaires, shielded by the sheer, untouchable scale of the Florendo industrial machine. She is the queen who wed the feudal lord, only to become the true lady of the entire estate. Number 4. Georgina Risk, the Dark Wife. At our fourth spot, the narrative takes a lethal turn. Georgina Risk, crowned Miss Universe in 1971, remains the only woman from the Middle East to ever hold the title. Her beauty was praised as a link between the East and the West, a shining icon of Lebanon's golden era. But her life swerved into a direction that stunned the globe when she became the wife of Ali Hassan Salameh. Salameh wasn't some wealthy businessman. He was a top-ranking figure in the PLO and the suspected architect behind the Black September organization, the very group behind the horrific Munich Olympics massacre of 1972. His moniker was the Red Prince, a man who indulged in a lavish playboy lifestyle, racing sports cars around Beirut and hobnobbing with CIA agents, all while secretly masterminding brutal, violent operations. Georgina's marriage to Salameh was like a spy thriller made real. Their lives were spent caught in the crosshairs of the world's most powerful intelligence agencies. She went from the glamorous stages of Miss Universe to a life of hiding in secret safe houses, constantly shadowed by the threat of assassination. It was the definition of a gilded cage. She was surrounded by love and unimaginable luxury. But her husband was the #1 target of Operation Wrath of God, the Mossad's infamous assassination squad. The inevitable tragedy came in 1979 when a car bomb in Beirut killed Salameh. That explosion completely shattered Georgina's world. She was already carrying a child at that time, left a widow right in the heart of a political whirlwind. After the assassination, she faded from public view into a quiet life, later marrying a well-known Lebanese singer, Wed Tufik. She lives comfortably now, but her story will forever be marked by how dangerously close she got to all that chaos. It's proof that a beautiful face can attract the most lethal kind of power. Number 3. Oksana Fedorova, the state's hidden jewel. We now leave the turbulent streets of Beirut for the cold, sterile corridors of the Kremlin. Our number 3 is Oksana Fedorova, the only Miss Universe to ever come from Russia, and the only one to be formally stripped of her title. But losing the crown didn't hurt her one bit. In fact, she ended up gaining the entire world. Oksana was not your typical pageant queen. She was a major in the police force, held a PhD in civil law, and was an expert marksman with a pistol. After that whole controversy, where she lost her crown in 2002 from a pageant that Donald Trump owned back then, who famously praised her beauty even as he accepted her stepping down, she went back to Russia and became an enormous star. But for decades, whispers and stories have circulated about her ties to the very highest level of the 1 and 2, the Russian government, and to be specific, Vladimir Putin. Although nothing has ever been officially proven, the gossip columns in the West and in Russia have long speculated about how close she was to the president during the early 2000s. True or not, her career path screams of success that had the government's official blessing. She became the host of Goodnight, Little Ones, the country's most legendary children's program, a job you absolutely cannot get without the government's full consent. She then married Andrei Borodin, but not the banker who was forced out of the country, but a different man, a very senior official working within the Russian presidential office. This marriage cemented her place inside the Kremlin's exclusive inner circle. Oksana's true wealth is a mystery, hidden away within the closed world of the Russian elite. She is frequently spotted in high-fashion designer outfits that cost more than what a police major earns in a whole year. She designs her own jewelry, she sings opera, and she travels around Moscow with a security team so large it tells you she is much more than just a celebrity. She is like a state-owned asset, a beauty queen whose entire image and life became tangled up with the revival of Russia's national power. Number 2. Apsara Hongsakula, the royal matriarch. If Oksana got close to power, our next queen is power itself. Our number 2 is Apsara Hongsakula, Miss Universe 1965, the very first winner to come from Thailand. Apsara didn't just marry some wealthy guy. She married a cousin of the Queen of Thailand, Queen Sirikit. Her marriage to Mr. Kiatakun Kitakara catapulted her directly into the extended royal family of Thailand, which is one of the richest monarchies on the entire planet. And even though they eventually separated, she was still considered part of the royal circle, holding on to her social standing and all the unbelievable perks that came with it. In Bangkok, Apasra is a living legend. She's the owner of Apasra's Beauty Slimming Spa, an exclusive wellness empire that only the Thai upper class can afford. But her most shocking quality is that she seemingly never ages. Pictures of her in her 70s spread like wildfire across the globe because she looks almost completely unchanged from how she looked when she got the crown back in 1965. This started a storm of rumors about multi-million-dollar anti-aging procedures, having alien DNA, or just having the very best skin doctor that money can find. Her team insists it's just good genetics and proper grooming, but the whole mystery just makes her more captivating. Her wealth is the old Asian kind. It's silent, it's immense, and it's built on land and bloodline. She is always surrounded by assistants and is treated with a kind of respect that is only ever given to actual royalty. Her son, Pak Pasakorn, is a big name in Thai high society. He married a well-known actress, making sure the family name lives on. She moves in a world where cars part for her, and her personal fortune is a matter of national pride. Number 1. Amparo Munoz, the captive of the palace. And now, we've reached our top story, the one that perfectly embodies the very title of this video more than any other, the Miss Universe, who was devoured and then discarded by the cruel machinery of a dictatorship and the grim reality of fame. Miss Universe 1974, Spain's Amparo Munoz. For Amparo, the tragedy began the very second she won. The 1974 pageant was staged in Manila, Philippines. This was upon the explicit demand of the First Lady, Imelda Marcos. The Marcos dictatorship was at its absolute peak, and their plan was to use Miss Universe as a propaganda piece to project an image of the Philippines as a paradise, hiding the harsh realities of martial law. Amparo was the centerpiece of this gilded cage. The Marcoses paraded her everywhere, handling her like she was a living doll for the benefit of the regime. But Amparo was a rebel at heart. She despised the suffocating rules, the blatant hypocrisy, and the total control wielded by the organizers and the political masters. In a now legendary fit of rage, she slammed her crown against the wall. After only 6 months, she did the unimaginable. She renounced her title. She refused to fly to Japan for her duties. She was done playing their game. But escaping the crown did not grant her freedom. She stayed on in the Philippines for a period, even becoming an actress in the local film industry. Whispers were everywhere about her forced entanglements with powerful men in the Marcos circle and the intense pressure she was under to submit to their whims. When she finally went back to Spain, her life completely fell apart. It was the period of the Destape, the era when censorship was lifted after Franco's death, and Amparo was dragged into the shadowy underworld of the Movida Madrileña. She got addicted to heroin, a demon she would publicly fight for years. The woman who was once proclaimed the most beautiful in the entire world was arrested for drug possession, at times lived in absolute squalor, and saw her health just waste away. She published a memoir, La vida es el precio, which means life is the price, where she laid bare the abuse, the exploitation, and the empty shell of the luxurious life she had endured. She passed away in 2011 at the age of 56, a truly tragic soul who had reached the highest summits of glamour, sharing meals with dictators and kings only to die with almost nothing to her name. Amparo Munoz is number 1 because she exposes the true, horrifying cost of being trapped in that golden cage. She was the beauty queen who defied the system, and the system in turn broke her. Her life serves as a chilling warning. The crown is a heavy weight to bear, and sometimes it simply crushes the woman who is forced to wear it. From the corporate cunning of a Katrina Gray to the tragic collapse of Amparo Munoz, these accounts tear away the sparkling facade to expose the cold, raw machinery of money and influence. Some wielded the crown to forge empires. Others were simply imprisoned by it. Which of these tales disturbed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you crave to learn more about the dark secrets of the world's most powerful dynasties, subscribe to Her Status